Hey, good morning to you all. Almost lunchtime. We're almost there, friends. 11:13. We're kind of giving you a bird's eye view of the K right now. Obviously, the highway there. You can see I-70 off in the distance. Beautiful skies, right? Beautiful stuff out there right now. But listen, the heat is on, and it is a weather alert day on deck for us. We've got the potential for some severe storm activity as we move into the evening, but we're also dealing with a serious summer sizzle on deck for us too. Hey, good morning to you all. With it being almost 11:15 in the morning, we've got a lot to discuss. So let's just get right involved with it. Hopefully you're having a good Friday. I'm going to start off with what's going on out there at Kauffman Stadium as we get to about 7 p.m. at night. My goodness. First of all, the first pitch at about 88 degrees. Pretty wild stuff that we're going to be dealing with that kind of heat. We haven't seen that in a hot second. Pun is intended, by the way. What the temperature actually going to be set at into the 90s this afternoon. We'll start to taper off around 7 p.m. into those upper 80s. But the feel like today could easily achieve 102 degrees today, which is why we actually have ourselves a heat advisory in place. And I'm going to actually bring that up for you now, showing you that heat advisory. It's going to take a quick second to pop up on our screen here. But it's not the entirety of the metro. Looks like Clay County and Platte County are going to hold off on that, but the rest of us, Johnson, Jackson, Leavenworth counties, and then obviously just about I-70 and south are going to be under that heat advisory. This is up starting at noon, so at about 45 minutes from now, and will continue till 8 p.m. at night. All right, so again, this is all due to feel-like temperatures making it above the 100-degree mark. We've got to treat this as a dangerous situation if you're going to be outdoors, especially doing any kind of a strenuous activity. Maybe that's jogging, maybe you're just going to be doing some yard work, maybe you're working in construction. Just make sure you're taking breaks in the AC shaded areas. You're drinking water, you're slapping on the sunscreen. Today's UV rays has got a burn time of about 45 minutes or so. So it's well worthwhile to just find ways to beat the heat as we move on into the day side. But once this heat advisory lifts at about 8 o'clock this evening, then we're going to get into a completely different threat here. And we were just talking about it. It's a severe thunderstorm threat. This is the update that we got at about 10 o'clock this morning, still under the entirety of the viewing area, not just the metro, but the entire viewing area under a slight risk of severe storm activity. And that stretches right through St. Louis, right up into the upper Midwest, clear through Chicago, Green Bay, and then finally ending up there all the way up in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So it's a big storm system that we're monitoring, but it is concentrated to the north rather than the system that we have to the south, which we will discuss in just a quick second. But let's talk about where we're looking at with the severe weather impacts. And so far, it's going to be more of a damaging wind scenario and hail development over a rotation of the atmosphere. Now, that rotation still not zero, so we're going to keep an eye on it for you, but the better chances to see development of tornado activity, that's going to be well off to the northeastern quadrant of Missouri, all right, basically on your way into Illinois for that. I am concerned, though, the way that the models are introducing the severe weather activity and how much energy we have to the atmosphere. We call this CAPE, which is convective potential energy for us. It's looking rather high in our model runs, and that's looking to really ignite that threat to bring in those damaging straight line winds and get some hail production going in those clouds as we move further in time. Speaking of which, let's talk about the timing of this. I want to get involved with it with our high resolution model run here. For the most part, we've been dealing with this around 8 or 9 p.m. This is the latest update that we've got here, and at 9 p.m. you can see maybe northern Leavenworth County right through to Atchison, and then that northern side of the loop around the metro itself. That's where we could start to see those stronger storm cells. Let's go ahead and pop this up another about 45 minutes or so. You can see how it inches closer to I-70 within the downtown area and really starts to amp up there around maybe Leavenworth and Wyandotte counties and portions of Platte County right there on the Missouri River. Then, as we move on in towards the late evening here, about 11 p.m., it scoots right through the actual metro itself, clear over by, Kauffman Stadium, Arrowhead, Lee Summit, and we'll continue to exit out towards the south and east, but we still have some strong storm cells backing out towards the north and west. Yet again, back over Leavenworth and portions of Jefferson County up there, just south of Atchison County. So this is what we're really looking at and honing in on. Now, with all that being said, we have another update in the next 45 minutes for our model runs with new data. We'll have another one between 2 and 3 p.m., and then we'll have a final one coming in at about 5 o'clock in the early evening, just before we really start to get into impact mode here for that storm threat. All right. So there's still some time to hone in, but we've been pretty confident so far all morning long. The timing is only budged by about an hour from where we were at about 4:30 this morning when we were looking at the latest updates that came in at about 3 a.m. So yeah, that's what we've got going on for today. I also want to now go more into the future and start talking yet again about our Sunday forecast, because we had another update with this as well. And so far, we're still under a slight risk for severe weather activity. You can see that within the box there. It's about 99%, really like 99.5% of the viewing area will be under slight risk. The rest of it, that 0.5%, is going to be under a marginal threat for severe weather. But this is a little bit different, okay? Notice where we are with the damaging wind on Sunday. We're at a higher threat here, friends. Hail development, moderate threat, and then look at that spin-up threat. It's definitely not closer to that dark green zone, closer to that 0 chance. It's actually moving closer and closer to the moderate threat. We're seeing better opportunities for development of vertical shear and then getting into crosswinds within the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere. Basically, all that means is you've got one wind going in one direction, you got another coming in from another direction, and you have warm air coming up and shooting up into the cloud tops themselves. So that helps that rotation of the atmosphere occur. So we're starting to move that dial to a situation where we have really got to be on alert right now for that spin up. But truly, I'm going to be more concerned about that damaging wind down power lines and maybe even getting into down trees, doing some serious damage to our property. So you want to make sure that you've got that plan in place with you and your family. The timing of this stuff, let's get into that. Now, so far, this is the IBM model that we use. That means that it's the computer software engineers and their mathematical equations they use to show you a weather model, all right? There's the ones that actually purchased this data from the Weather Channel and started to make it more impactful. Now, this is the first round that we see, and it's coming in for the early morning on Sunday, about 8 a.m. That storm activity that you see around Odessa and Richmond is coming from an area of low pressure from the south. But what we do know is that this is really going to be an impact situation from the north and west, because there's another storm system out there. It's a cold front in low pressure, which is going to really destabilize the atmosphere and allow for what we call forced lifting to occur. So you know how we talked about warm air lift? Well, that's the temperature, the actual rise in the heat. Well, heat lifts obviously up, it moves up into the atmosphere. So we have warm air lift that occurs. Well, we'll have a little bit of that moving into Sunday, but what we have is now forced lifting, which is literally the physical lifting by a cold front or low pressure system. That's how powerful the storm system is coming into an area. It will force the air upwards and would allow for mixing to occur. And of course, that creates destabilization of the atmosphere, and that's going to give you that opportunity for thunderstorms. So this is just the first round. This is just a little bit of a spin-off from that low pressure system that's down to the south. As we move forward in time, we're going to get to the late night here, about 8 p.m. There's that line that we're talking about. There's the cold front. That's truly going to be our inclement weather situation here. We should be seeing that severe weather activity truly come out of the north and west. I'm not ruling out a couple of severe thunderstorms in the morning on Sunday, but the bulk of our storm threat is going to come out for the evening from that front that you're seeing on your map right now. All right. Now, obviously, we've got days in advance here. We're just letting you know all the information that we know at this point. And of course, we want to, give you that information. And if it does change, we will adjust accordingly. Right? But that's what we're dealing with now throughout the next really 72 hours in our forecast. It's a really important day today. Very important day. Obviously, we've got a lot of different events that are happening for today, for our Friday. We've got obviously the big game against the Royals happening. And it looks like Yeah, there we go. We've got the Royals game happening, and we know that people are going to want to be out there. Obviously, we've got thunderstorms coming in more likely towards the late evening, but that might be about the time that you're getting done with the game and getting back on those roads to go home. So that's something to take into consideration here. Not only that, but we've got to take into consideration lightning delays. You can get struck by lightning from 10 miles away, and that's something that Kauffman Stadium and Arrowhead all take into consideration. So even though the thunderstorm might not be overhead, it might be 10 or 15 miles out and it's producing lightning. They might delay the game, or they might postpone it or cancel it. It might be something like that we have to deal with, right? We also have, obviously, the State Fair on the Missouri side, Sedalia. You're looking at some storm activity, but again, I don't see this really occurring or affecting you guys until we make it into the early morning of our Saturday. So that's good news. At least maybe you can get over there to Sedalia. However, if you're going to leave the fair at 9:30 or 10 o'clock and get on the roads to get back over towards Kansas City, you may get into contact with some of that severe weather on the roadways. And in a dark kind of situation at night, it's not a very good combination. So these are the things that we've got to think about. But the other thing that we're also, tracking is that we've got a very kind of somber event that is happening this evening. And it's going to be towards the south and west here as the Blue Parade. And it is in honor of Jonah Oswald, who was shot in the line of duty. And there will be a parade for him. We've got more details on that coming up in just a few more moments. And that's something that we're monitoring and we're tracking very closely, because we would love to see that parade happen and pay our respects. This is not just a one-day situation. This is going to be days of an affair to honor this fallen officer. But it is something that's very important to us here at KCTV5, and we want to make sure that we get the weather right. And so far, when it comes down to it, the storm activity, at least as it lies right now in our forecast, I'm going to bring back that forecast model run for us here, if it'll pop up for us. I'm having a little bit more of a difficult time with the pop-up. There we go, with our high-resolution model. And again, as we go into about 8 or 9 o'clock here, that's when we start to see the showers and the storms mainly towards the northern side of the county. It'll be closer to around Olathe that the parade is actually going to occur, and it's going to be an evening affair here between about 7 and 9 p.m. So I'm hoping that we can hold off these storms for this parade, but it is going to be something that us here, all of our meteorologists, are going to be watching closely, and we're already in contact with the units over there. And letting them know, minute by minute, what the storm activity is looking like, so they know as much as we know, and they can adjust accordingly. But a lot happening this time around. I'm going to go ahead and leave you with a look one more time over at Kauffman Stadium. We're going to take a deep dive into the story that is Officer Jonah Oswald. Janae, I'm just, this is just kind of a somber day. It's a situation that has our hearts heavy, but we want to do this man right. We want to do this man right, and hopefully we can have this parade.
I think you said it very correctly, but today is not just the only day. Like you mentioned, we're also honoring Officer Jonah Oswald today. We're honoring him throughout the weekend and going into next week on Monday, where his funeral will be held. But again, it is a final salute for that fallen officer, Jonah Oswald. He is being remembered for his bravery. Like Greg Bennett just mentioned, he was killed in the line of duty. I do want to take a look at this video that we have here at the live desk. You can see here that his fellow officers are now speaking out for the first time, and they worked hard to hold back their tears yesterday when they spoke to the media. They used the words like bright, funny, and brave to describe their fallen officer. That is Officer Jonah Oswald. Let's take a listen in to what they said.
I want people to know that Officer Oswald was a hero. His death was tragic. I want them to know that law enforcement in Johnson County, we appreciate the love and support that we've received so far, and I also want people of Fairway to know that we care for them and we're here for them.
Alrighty, again, that is coming from the Fairway Police Department as they continue to honor their fallen officer, Jonah Oswald, I should say. Now, officers are also thanking the community for their support that they've already shown. We spotted several people dropping off flowers and other tokens at a memorial outside of the police station during this entire week since the news broke, and those tributes will continue as we look ahead to the Parade of Blue, like Greg mentioned, that is set to take place later on this evening. Again, I am Janae Hancock here at the live desk, and we are continuing our coverage on this story. I do want to take a look at Twitter right now where you can see the latest developments. I know we just posted this yesterday, but I did mention that not only today, but the following next couple days, we'll have a final salute for fallen officer Jonah Oswald. You can see that information here on your screen as far as what is set to take place today, as well as on Sunday, and then looking ahead to that funeral August 14th at 11 a.m. And you see here on Sunday, August 13th, that's when the visitation will take place from 5 to 8 p.m. And we also have, if we turn to another tweet coming in from Twitter right now. This is coming in from Shawnee, Kansas Police Department. They have the route. You can also find it on our website, kctv5.com. But just to give you a better image of exactly how the route is going to look for the Parade of Blue tonight, starting exactly at 7:30 p.m. And then it will be followed. It's set to be followed so far right now by a visual. Like Greg mentioned, we're keeping a close eye on the weather. Hopefully it does not impact anything that is set to take place later on today or in the coming days. But as always, we will continue to keep you all posted. But you see that route here on your screen, and you can also head to our website, kctv5.com, to get a better look at a list of the routes. And if there are any new developments within this route, you'll be sure to find that on our website. But it is supposed to end at Harmon Park with a visual. And I do also want to take a look at this tweet that has been circulating all over social media. This photo, this portrait of fallen Fairway, Kansas police officer Jonah Oswald is by artist Johnny Castro. Now, he creates portraits of fallen officers free of charge to the family. And you can see here, KCK PD chief, they also said, and just like that, a little bit of our faith in humanity is renewed. Hashtag never forgotten. Such a beautiful portrait there. Again, like I mentioned, it is circulating all over social media yesterday as well as today. And in the next coming days, we will see this portrait all over our social media platforms as we look ahead to his funeral that is set to take place on Monday, August 14th at 11 a.m. Now, of course, we will have a live coverage of the parade that is set to take place this evening and the visual on KSMO and KCTV5 News at 10. We will also be streaming it. And just to give you just a better look at everything else, what to expect on Monday as far as that funeral is concerned, Kansas flags will fly at half-staff in honor of Officer Oswald. And Governor Laura Kelly made that announcement earlier this week once the funeral details were finalized, and saying that her thoughts are with his family and loved ones of the Fairway PD. And as you saw there in that audio coming in from the Fairway Police Department, this is something that they are struggling with. They are a small police department, and to have a fallen officer is hard just on anyone, but it's definitely hard on them, and obviously it is hard on Oswald's family. I do know that he was married and he has 2 young children. He was just 29 years old, had a whole career in front of him, a whole life in front of him, and unfortunately he did pass away on Monday. So we will continue to honor Oswald in the next coming days, but especially today as we look ahead to Parade of Blue that is set to take place at 7:30 p.m. It will end at Harmon Park with a visual. Like I mentioned, you can find all of that information by heading to our website, kctv5.com, and all of these blue ribbons, you will see them all around that route. And again, you can find a picture of that route, and you can find more details on where you can park your car and see the procession on our website. So be sure to tune in to that, and be sure to tune in to our newscast. I know our noon newscast is coming up in about 30 minutes.